There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lloyd's, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everybody to this week's Premier League Cricket Show, and we've got one of those leagues joining us this week that is fair to say, some would say it's rather competitive, some would say, oh my word, it's just a bloody mess at the top there because of the results that have happened over the last few weeks. And joining us to talk about it is someone who I think he'd probably prefer to be in that mess for the weekend, but unfortunately our guest today plays for Taunton St Andrews and is in 7th place in the West of England Premier League. Our guest today is Mr. Lloyd Ali. How are we doing, Lloyd?
Very well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
All good, very good, thank you. Hugh's exceptionally well. He's just had a holiday, so he's far better than me.
Yeah, as I said off there, I've eaten far too much and drunk far too much, so I'm on a strict detox, which is always a lot harder than it looks. So yeah, no beer for me until Saturday.
Most important question, though, are you going to get to play again this season?
Well, do you know what? I did quite a bit of swimming as well, floating. And
do you mean you've been training your thumb in a swimming pool?
Yes. So the issue is, I was expecting for a nice, easy trip back to play in our second team, which is a lot lower down the leagues than it should be, which is what's happening. But my lad has been picked for the first team. So for the first time in my life, my lad has been picked ahead of me, and I'm blaming the injury, but it won't be the last. But yeah. So there we go.
I'll say is it's the first of many. It's the first of many. Hey, congratulations to Toby being picked for the first team.
He's a bit nervous, but So unfortunately, we're heading in different directions. But I can hold a cricket bat, which I was quite surprised. My daughter was bowling at me last night in the nets, and I could hit a few back. So we'll go with that. I think I'll back down the order and sort of float around fine leg to third man. But yeah, I'm pleased about that.
And I'll do exactly what I normally do. I'll watch. Far easier to watch what all this going on here. And obviously, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye this weekend on your league, Lloyd. And West of England Premier League, you've somehow ended up in a situation where the top four have got 5 points between them. Actually, there is almost a case for Bristol could win it in fifth place, I think, isn't there? Top four with 5 points between them. It wasn't looking like that halfway through the season, was it?
It wasn't. Like, I mean, so I don't know if it's the same around all the other leagues that you cover, but they changed the point structures from, it used to be 10 for a win, 5 for your bowling points and 5 for your batting. And now they've just changed it. So if you win, you just get straight 20. Before you could win a game with 14 if it's low scoring, whereas now you win a game, and you'll get 20. It was all a bit open. I reckon this year is probably the strongest league that it's been for a long time. Like, we were down at the bottom for a period. You win a few games, you get up. Like, Bristol were right in the mix for a lot, and then they lost a couple of games. But Bath, I think, won first 9 on the spin. Bridgewater were always in the mix, and then when it came to, I think, like, Bridgewater lost to Bath, Bedminster, who on paper probably one of the strongest sides in this league, who started poorly, if anything, and I think they maybe lost 4 of the first 5, who are now fourth. Had they performed a bit better at the start, it would have been interesting to see how they'd fared. Taunton are always in the mix. So, yeah, it didn't look like it for a while, but going into these last few games, there's been a lot of scorecards being checked, a lot of results being looked at, a lot of calculations being done. We played Bridgewater last weekend and sort of ruined their plans a little bit, as they'd have expected to beat us. And we had a Bridgewater golf day, funny enough, the day before that we played in, and the chairman and one of the lads who was playing in our side, they were talking about, if so-and-so beat so-and-so. And so I think there's a lot of, Saturday's going to be interesting, a lot of scorecard checking, a lot of points working out, a lot of maths being done. But it's looking really tight going into the last week.
Just looking at it, I mean, you're in 7th.
Yeah.
And you're only one sort of abandoned game away from being able to win it. It's unbelievably close. And there's a bit of a gap below you. But even Bishopston knocked over Bath last weekend from second bottom, beating top. It's absolutely fantastic.
I can say it because it's me, but we had a rained off game against Lansdowne. They were 2 for 20, chasing 220 overs, which we could have won. And then madly, when we played Bristol, we were defending 178. They needed 7 off the last, 5 off the last ball. And I managed to get hit out of Bristol, which was brilliant, bowling to number 11, second ball, which is not planned. So they beat us by 1 wicket. And if you look at it, we'd have probably gained 20-ish points off the back of that, which probably puts us up top 3. So it's been mad. And also, like, this weekend just gone, everybody's beaten everybody. So we beat Bridgewater, who were top. Second. Bath lost to Bishopston, who are fighting relegation. Taunton also lost to Burbage, who have been very good at home and have lost games away. So it's mad that after being really consistent for however many weeks going into the game of the season, all 3 of the top sides have not perhaps performed as they'd like, which is kind of costly.
Do you think part of that's down to these national competitions, Lark, that the likes of Bath and Bristol have been involved in? Because it's got to have an impact when you're doing the travelling and you've got the Sundays to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, like Bath, national champions the year before last, they always get on the run in the nationals. And so I think they went away the week before. Jordan Silk, obviously the Aussie, got 70 not out to steer them home against Bath. So they do a lot of travelling. Yeah, Bristol, I know, have been in the national T20s, which therefore means a lot of travelling. I don't know, if I'm honest, I just think this league, every side have got people in their team who are good enough to have a day out. Like Bridgewater 2 weeks ago, I think, lost to Froster, who obviously bottom of the table, needing 60 to win 8 wickets in hand and lost by 10. It's been a strange league. Like, you've had the good sides who've been brilliant, but have somehow managed to lose games that they probably shouldn't have lost. So it's made it interesting for everyone, because I don't normally, the last 10 years, Bath have run away with it and have won it comfortably by 40 points sort of things. There is a lot of cricket being played, especially if you do the national T20, the National Cup, like Saturdays, Sundays, and then the midweek crickets. There is a lot. And I think also the one thing this league has is lots of pros in and out. So during the Metro Bank, we lose George Thomas, Josh Thomas, Archie Vaughan, who only played a handful of games, 2 Thomases, Vaughan and James Root. So you go from being on paper 1 week where you've got ridiculously strong side for professionals to Somerset pulling them because they've got a squad of 13 and therefore that's generally the case in quite a lot of the sides, which makes a massive difference.
Yeah, and I think Bedminster beating Bristol in particular last week, that was the one that really just threw the cat amongst the pigeons, with the top 3 all 100%. Losing. Bedminster winning. You just get this ridiculous situation where The mobile phones are going to be going just mad on Saturday, aren't they?
100%. Play cricket, probably crashing with the amount of refreshing that will be going on. But it's gone from
just in the west of England alone, probably.
Just in the west of England alone, yeah, for sure, for sure. So because we've got Taunton, who obviously are joint second, and so like the plan.
You've got to say in this, haven't you?
Yeah, we have, and for weeks, like we were sort of saying, well, if we get to the stage in the season where there's not really anything to play for, we might potentially be able to have a little fun. Like Cam Harding, who's an opening batter and bowls, was like, he's an unbelievably good keeper. He's like, I'll keep. And so like, yeah, like we could look at doing that, and stupid things like Thomas Rue's going to bowl right arm off spin with a new ball. And then now all of a sudden on Saturday, we're looking at Taunton, who are joint second in the league, going like, we actually can't do that because, do you know what I mean? Imagine if we did that and Taunton win, and because of the umpire, again, I don't know if this rule applies around the country, but you get a point additional if you have an umpire. Yeah. So if, for example, Bath lose, Taunton were to beat us and Bridgewater were to win, Frost would win the league. Taunton would win the league on 1 point gained from an umpire. Now, if they beat us fair and square and they win it from a point from being an umpire, fine. But if we can't now have a bit of fun, and we'll play it as a normal game. But yeah, we have a massive say in. I obviously like James Regan, who played for us now, plays for Bridgewater, who I see most days in the gym, and he's sort of asking us politely. And when we left the ground on Saturday, the captain was like, "So you aren't really going to open with Thomas Rue, are you? And Cam's not really going to keep, and so we won't." But yet now, because now it's basically a 4-horse race for a 1-game shootout. Really.
It is one of those conversations you and I have week in, week out about rules and regulations around the country. And I think to sum it up by saying that somebody could actually win the league based upon having an umpire, that's when you start to question whether these things are done in the right way, shall we say?
Yeah, I agree. We don't have one, and we don't. And I know a club, Taunton, who are local, have sort of openly said that they've done the same thing. I mean, look, if you can gain 18 points throughout a season, which is ultimately is one win, then you'd be mad not to. Do you know what I mean? I can't say I don't think it's right. It's what Whipple have offered for people to be able to do, and clubs have cashed in on it. Absolutely fair enough. It is just interesting that we could come down to get two sides both win, and the league could be decided on an umpiring in a third-team game, fourth-team game somewhere else, meaning that they become Whipple Prem 1 champions is mind-blowing.
So hang on a minute, I hadn't picked up on that. So effectively, the club needs to supply one umpire for elsewhere in the league, and that gains you the point in the Premier Division.
It doesn't even have to be. I think if the club affiliate an umpire who will umpire for, say, for example, I think I've got this right, but Taunton have an umpire who will go and umpire their second team. They gain a point as a first-team club, or it might have to be, because I don't think Taunton can't have an umpire appointed for Bath versus Bedminster, because if they need to, they'll just give every decision out or every decision out. You know what I mean? So I'm sure it's a club-affiliated umpire to umpire from a certain level, but it makes an interesting talking point.
It's one of these decisions that gets made midwinter that sounds like a really good idea, and then the ramifications knock on, and the next season maybe it's gone. But I can see why getting umpires is more and more difficult. We may touch on this with a certain other game later on. But, it shouldn't really be having an effect on the Premier League, should it?
No, I agree. Umpiring is something that people don't want to do, and the umpiring committee is probably getting thinner as people get older and step away from doing it. And I agree, you always need umpires, and you always need umpires to step forward. But I don't think that's potentially the right way of giving a first team points in what is not in any league really, but especially in the top division, which 1 point could be the difference between winning and coming second in Prem 1, which is seriously tough league to win.
I think groundsman awards, cash, doing well with the grounds and things like that, getting good pitch ratings and other, and not just that, but welcome grants, and so maybe there's something they could do there that rewards the club as a whole, not from the points table, as it is at the moment.
Sure. Yeah, it shouldn't affect on the pitch as far as I'm concerned, and that'll be, I'm sure, a subject that'll come up in the captains' forums that we'll have at the end of the season when we discuss one or two of these things around the country. Because if anyone else can tell us of a league that's got such a random rule that actually could make such a difference, I'd be amazed. Absolutely, utterly amazed, without a shadow. But hey, it'd
be interesting to see if the umpiring numbers are increased because of it, though.
That's the key. Yeah. That's the key. Let's just get back to your club, though. I mean, you've had an interesting season, I think is the best way to put it. You've lost players because of the Metro Bank. You've been a bit in and out, I think is the best way to put it, during the season. Is that what you'd put down to where you've ended up in 7th place? Because I know there was very high hopes at the start of the season for Taunton, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's tough. When we've not performed, we've performed poorly, without that sounding real cliche. But look, we're lucky as well. Like, we rely on our pros, of course, because that's what they do. But they are also pros who have played for us for 20, 18, 17, 16 years. So it's not like they're people we brought in. They're lads who will play at every possible opportunity. We had a midweek T20 game against Bridgewater, and James Drew was available because he had no championship, and he came and played. Like, that's the sort of lads that we have on our side. But I think when they don't play, we actually lose quite a lot of experience. Like, from our side, so I'm 34 and I'm the oldest by 11 years. So to put that into context, 23 is the next youngest player. And then we have a side that probably have 7 or 8 teenagers. So it can be hard at times, don't get me wrong. Seriously talented squad who perhaps just at times don't necessarily convert, or they don't have the game management at times in the bigger situations that potentially can be costly. Look, we've also been outplayed. We've been done by Bedminster both times, who cashed in on us at home and then beat us comfortably at their place, which were 2 games that we had. I don't think we had any of our lads available due to county commitments, and that's where I think we'll learn. So it's being 7th, I do also think with the point structures and how they are, let's say, compared to the old, I was talking to James Regan, who's now at Bridgie, this morning in the gym, about it would be interesting to see how the league looked if you had the 10 points for a win, 5 bowling, 5 batting, in comparison to just 20 points. Because, for example, there's games where someone's 150 all out, they chase it 8 down. Actually, they probably get 12 points, whereas now they're getting 20. So it would be interesting, and I'm sure someone somewhere's probably worked it out, but it would be interesting to see how it fared, because the 20 points, you can get 20 for a low scoring win, but then if you're on the losing side of that, you can literally come away with 1 or 2 points. But if you're 120 all out and a side chase at 3 down, you're coming away with 1 point, which is brutal. Whereas the team who won would potentially be getting 11, and now we're getting 9 more. So there are lots of low scoring fixtures in this season which have gone either way. So have we lost? I'll be honest, we lost to Bath by 2 wickets. We had it booping on the other foot. Like I said, we lost to Bristol badly. We lost to Bristol off the last ball, me getting hit out the ground by 1 wicket. Rained off game against Lansdowne. There's probably 35 points there that we've missed out on, that had things been the other way around, we could have been top 4. But that's not me saying we deserve to be there. The guys at the top probably been the most consistent sides and probably deserve to be at the top. But had we potentially been a bit better in certain situations, we could be sat pretty 4th or 5th. I'm not saying we're going to be challenging, absolutely not, but we could have been 4th or 5th for sure.
Let's look at this squad, though. So you're the oldest by 11 years.
Yeah.
Is there a real dichotomy within the club now, then, that we'll come on to them, I'm sure, but you're developing some incredible youngsters who are in this squad now at Premier League level and doing more than that. Yeah. And in theory, it's such a young squad that you could almost dominate the Whipple for the next 10, 15 years. Yeah. However, if they're so good that they then carry on through to whether it's NCCA or county cricket, you actually start again and you have to build it from the bottom upwards all the time, aren't you? Is it a real dichotomy, that, for the club?
Yes and no. We would like to. We're lucky that James Drew goes and plays for England Lions, then he comes back and plays cricket for us the following week. The 2 Thomases, both at Somerset, like George, for example, played when Smeedy got injured, opened the batting in T20, brilliant. Josh Thomas, younger brother, played in the 50 over stuff, done very well. T-Roo, obviously, is 16, who is on another planet. But then underneath that, and that's great, and those lads could get snapped up to playing county or the world is their oyster, literally, for some of them. But we do also have younger, again, we still have James Travers, who was on the EPP, that's played at Gloucester, playing for Somerset 18s, like SS, and Suresh Raj, who's also some of them. So we've got Jago Buckley. We've actually got a great, it's tough because we've got a really good side with a lot of good youngsters. And then we've also got a lot of good youngsters underneath that who will come in and develop that. Again, 16, 17, 18. So there's no reason why they can't come in. It's a good problem to have, put it that way. It's not great, the conversations you have when you're having to tell people that they're not playing. Like, for example, Toby Patmore's playing minor county cricket at Dorset. He's not been able to break into our side because we've got Jack Harding and Kazi Szymanski taking the new ball at the moment. So, like, when I knock it on the head, then there'll potentially be the position for Pat to come in and take the new ball or bowl first change if he stays. So we've got a lot of good problems to have, put it that way, but we are blessed with the boys who are exceptionally good, being Saints boys. They're not guys that have come in and played for us because they've moved to the area. Like I fed tennis balls to the Thomases and the Roos when they were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way through when I was coaching on Tuesday night as an 18-year-old with a couple of hours spare. We're in a good position, and look, if we keep them together, admittedly we might lose 2 or 3 of those if they go and play elsewhere or go higher up the ranks, but we have a really good core coming in underneath, and for the next 5 to 10 years, if they continue developing as they have, there's no reason why we can't potentially be a threat in Prem 1. Look, that's not me saying we'll go on and win the league, but I'd like to hope over the next couple there's an opportunity that we'll be performing a bit better than 7th where we are currently.
How have you managed to build this, Man United circa 1990s style production line?
I'll be honest, they're the Thomases and the Roos are King's boys, James and Travers, King's boy, SS Taunton School. We're lucky, we're blessed that in the town we are, there are 3 or 4 good independent schools, and they have to play cricket somewhere. The Roos have always been affiliated to us, live across from the ground, so they come. The Thomases being at King's came when the Roos came. Trav, King's across the road, came and played with us. SS when we moved over to Dubai, played for us. So we do it well. Like our junior circuit is run well. We do give chances to lads when they're young to come in and see where they are, and I think it is a good club. It is well looked after. We've always been lucky that we've had lots of pros come through our ranks, like the Parsons too. Keith Parsons obviously played for 20 years, played for us. His brother Kev was captain of the first team for 15 years. Mike Parsons was at Somerset, plays for us. Mike Burns, you name it. We've had so many that I think also young lads love being involved and playing and training and turning up on Saturday, learning, developing. And we do have a good group, if that makes sense. Like we've had a good core of my age sort of players who are now just turning to the golf course. That we've had that 10, 12, 15 lads from first team, second team, third team, which the youngsters then get around, if that makes sense. Like when they were too young to play, they'd be coming watching and running drinks on for the batters when there's a wicket or at drinks. And so we sort of get them involved as young as possible. Training on a Thursday night might be senior training, but Thomas Rue was turning up when he was 12, facing some of our older lads. You know what I mean? James Rue would turn up after a county game, scoring 150 for Somerset under 18s, and then he'd be at nets facing professionals. Like I think it's a place that people want to actually be and be around, which I guess is one of the reasons why they've stayed and enjoyed playing. Like I said, Fat James Rue can go from playing an England Lions game, county game. There is a midweek T20 game, and he goes, "I'm in." Like, do you need to check the county? Yeah, I'll check, but I'm in. Like, it says a lot about, because you get some lads who think if you play, Rui would play Monday to Sunday every single day if he could, but there's an opportunity for him to put his feet up and go and play golf. He's like, no, actually, I'm keen to come and play cricket with the lads. Like he's played a few league games for us this season. Like we're lucky that these boys see us as friends rather than just a cricket club that I play at.
I think it's fascinating hearing that, Lloyd, but what fascinates me even more is while you were speaking, I just had a look at the teams that you have at Taunton St Andrews when it comes to juniors. And it's not like you're overburdened with the, shall we say, the hundreds of teams that some clubs have got. Spencer in South London, in Surrey, with their thousands of juniors, or Wimbledon, or they've got hundreds of kids there. You've still only got 4 under 11 sides, a 2 under 13, a 15, a 16, which I would say for any reasonable Premier League club is nice, but not unmanageable. So there's got to be a real balancing act there between the numbers are nice, but the quality is obviously there. It's not just a numbers game. It's about that quality potentially coming from those independent schools in particular.
100%. And we have to be careful. Like we have lost a few. Having a smaller junior section, like we still get 200, 300, 400 kids turn up, but it's when they get to the older age groups, that junior section.
Hang on. Did you see Hugh's face and my face when you said we still get that? But that's a small junior section.
I would, well, again, in comparison to some of the ones talked about in London, maybe it is. I'm not, again, I wouldn't know where that sits with a lot, but it certainly makes it interesting when you've got these 13, 14, 15-year-olds who are playing junior county cricket that do want to be playing second team. We have lost some off the back of that, and it is tough. We are fortunate that we do have a lot of talented lads and girls who play in the junior section, and the more that keep coming through, the better. Like we see families who have younger brothers, and we have lots of siblings who have younger brothers that have turned out to be very good, and hopefully there's more of them that keep coming through the club and keep playing. But I think because, sounds stupid, because we are, like 200 is a lot. They'll train on a Tuesday, but 50 of them will come on a Thursday. Like I said just now, like being in and around all of them, like just stood at the back of the net watching George Thomas slinging his Crocs after a day at Somerset. Like, these young lads lap it up and they love it. And the girls, they will happily watch and they just enjoy being around us. Like, we're not a closed book. We're an open club. Everyone can come and stand at the back of the nets and watch. People can go and have a bowl in the middle if they want to. And I think it keeps people interested in staying around. And with some of the coaches we get down there, like Keith Parsons involved in the junior section, the Rue parents head up the junior section, passes. Dad used to do it, still gets involved. Like, we have got a great core of people that run and look after that junior section, which makes it massively, massively helpful. Our under-19s, I wouldn't like to say, but I want to say they got to like the national finals for 2 or 3 years in a row when Ian Hockey was looking after them. So like there is obviously very good junior section. And then when you get to the top end of that, they are still developing. And then they come into our adult sections, and wherever they start, they do well and progress accordingly. So the more that come through, the sooner I can put my feet up and watch from the sideline with a beer after a round of golf.
You've mentioned him a couple of times. Let's not mess about. You've got, without a shadow, some of the most talented youngsters, I think, in the country coming through. You've already pointed out you're 11 years older than anyone else in your team, so I'm going to keep pointing it out now. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
But in terms of the talent you have got coming through, is this now a different level to what you've seen when we talk about James and Thomas Rue?
They are, in my opinion, without doubt, two of the best youngsters I've seen ever since I've been playing. Now, James, when James was the age gap, probably 3 or 4 years, when James was say doing under 9 softball, Thomas would be there with his parents used to turn up with, like those pop-up wash bins with 600 tennis balls, and Thomas would be 4 and he would be carting balls all over the Wyvern that Chris and Debbie would then go and pick up. And Thomas, yes, obviously those two are standout. The 2 Thomas boys who are both at Somerset are underneath, very, very different in terms of the way they play. Thomas has hit it, like, I don't know if you saw the scorecard from the weekend. George got 180, 50 off 40, 180 off 100. So like those two are extremely good. Josh, Thomas, ridiculously talented batter, spinner. But the Rues are just, I think also the fact James came into first class cricket, maybe he scored 100 on debut, ridiculous. Thomas Rue in the Super Fours last week, 100 for us on Saturday, 100 off 50 balls. 90 off 40 balls, 70 odd for us, and then he scored another second team 100 yesterday. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in the water in that Rue house, but it is the most frightening thing. But for 2 very normal, very humble, we're lucky all of our lads are very normal, but they are the most normal and humble lads. But not only that, like James Rue plays golf off scratch, Thomas Rue plays golf off 5, like Thomas is 16.
We're all shaking our heads now. Come on now.
I know.
That's just unfair.
I know. James and Thomas play squash for Somerset. Their accolades are ridiculous. But as far as cricket goes, I remember watching them when I was really young and just saying, like, these boys are going to be unbelievably good, and I still haven't found a level where they aren't still surprising me in some way, shape or form, which sounds ridiculous. Like I think Thomas made his first team debut at 13, and the overseas for Thornbury maybe at the time came off his long run, got a wicket. Thomas came in, and he came like off a short run, and so Thomas just ran down and like bunted him over his head for 4, went back off his long run, bowled him a bouncer, smacked him over deep square in front for 4, and then like ramped him over the keeper for 4. And I just sort of think, like, this boy's first team game, never played a men's first team game in his life, and he's literally like a cheat code because he just whatever he wants to do. Like even this year, so Aidan Cahill was the overseas at Bath, and he bowls quick on a quick wicket and came back second spell. Thomas, I don't know, maybe had 30 or 40, bounced in first ball, just uppercut him over the keeper for 6, and then he just went reverse over fine leg for 4. So he brought third man up, fine leg back, and then just hit. And I just think, how do you do that? Like, it's frightening how talented those boys are. I mean, stick my neck out and say it, and I don't want to upset anybody, but at this age, Thomas just seems to have developed from where James was. Don't get me wrong, James would bat and get you 100 off 100 balls every week, whereas Thomas just seems to go, I don't mind where you bowl it. My plan is I'm just going to hit you out the ground, and whether I do that over the keeper's head or over your head, wherever you bowl it, there's every chance it's going to go there. So it is frightening. It is frightening.
I mean, you talk about James there. It seems like he's been around for years.
He does.
He's 20. He's got 7 first-class hundreds, 7 50s. He's averaging above 40 in first-class cricket and list day. Not played a lot of T20.
Yeah.
But his brother, when we saw his brother, I think he came onto my radar a couple of years ago. I was looking at very young players playing Premier League cricket, and he's like, hello, there's a young lad playing here. And then he got 96 last year as a 15-year-old in the Premier League. Obviously, he's got a ton this year.
Yeah.
But just watching him on the video streams playing second team games, it's like he's in the back garden. He's so relaxed. It's just, no matter what's happening, like you just said there, he just looks like he's got all the time in the world. And that's, that's what marks him out with me as someone who can go to the very, very top. And you don't want to put pressure on 16-year-olds. You got Rocky Flintoff, who's another lad who actually, if you put the name to one side with Flintoff, actually you watch him play, it's kind of that fearlessness that, having played cricket for a fair few years, I don't know how people manage it, especially when someone's bowling heat at you. It's absolutely remarkable for a 16-year-old like that. And obviously, the two of them could just have just the most incredible careers.
We take the mick a little bit out of James by saying, how are you going to feel when Thomas Roux is the guy that is your captain? Like, jokingly, obviously, like, how's it going to feel, James, when Thomas is picked to be Somerset captain and you're just one of his players? Like, because they're brothers and they take them, like, it's great.
One of his players. Did you hear that? Just one of his players paying for something. Okay, yeah.
It's just but things like Thomas will get 130 and then we'll, I don't know, get out sweeping and we've got 350 and he'll come and sit down and James just sounds like, what on earth are you playing at? And you just sort of think, like, really, he's got 130 off 70 balls, like, it's all right. And he's like, well, no, it's just not good enough, is it? And I'm like, God, you two are... But then Thomas will be the same. Like, we played at Froster and I think James tried to play just like a drive and Thomas is shouting from the boundary, like, James, that's not how you play. Like, get back. And I'm just thinking, like, lads, you two, just give yourself a chance. Like, you're all right. You're doing, like, just fine. Don't you worry. But yeah, they are great. But like, it's mad. James got 7 first-class hundreds, doesn't have a Saturday 100 for us.
Really?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, hang on. Jug avoidance, you mean?
Yeah, agree. And we'll happily tell him that. We'll happily tell him that.
We've got the name of the pod sorted. James Roux, Jug Avoider.
James Roux, the Jug Avoider.
Absolutely. Sorted. What fascinates me is when you look at that depth you've got, as you're saying. I'm just looking at the scorecard from the twos for Somerset this week, and it's fair to say they were in a little bit of trouble against Gloucestershire to start with at the beginning of the week. I think they were 19 for 3. But then a certain Mr. Will Smead comes in. Yeah. A certain J.F. Thomas, who would be your captain, if I'm not mistaken, Josh Thomas. Yeah. Comes in afterwards, and then a Thomas Roux. Batting at 5, 6, 7, they score 74, 89 and 106. That's all straight out of the Whipple.
Yeah, and Speedy will play for Bridgewater. He might have played a handful of games, but he's played for Bridgie a couple of times a year. There's talk he might play on Saturday, potentially, because they need to obviously win at Burbage. Like, it is the Whipple side, I genuinely mean it. Like, you'll turn up on a Saturday, ourselves included. We're lucky that we have a few that will play. And you're turning up against overseas pros. The level has just gone through the roof, and it makes it an exciting league. I mean, it's probably the toughest. I've been playing in Whipple, I reckon, for I'd say 16 seasons, 17 seasons now. I reckon, from my perspective, this is probably one of the toughest this year and last year. Like, Bridgewater have the likes of Smead, Lintop, Joe Eklund, Carlos Brathwaite as an overseas, like Ned Leonard, Alfie Ogborn. They can name an all-star 11 out of pros that are signed there alone. And it is frightening, but it makes it enjoyable on a Saturday, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, let's talk of frightening. It's that time of the week when we have to discuss other frightening things that are going on in the cricket world. And joining us once again is the most frightening of the lot, Mr. Matt Taff from CricX. How are we doing, mate?
Not too bad. I don't have to take that intro, Livo.
It was a good link, that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, we're sort of getting slightly professional at this. We might have had loads of audio issues at the beginning, but you know what? We're getting there. How you doing, mister?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
How was your weekend?
Seems like a while ago recording the pod on a Wednesday, but yeah, it was good. Another win.
Good. Yeah, another win.
Somehow. First change. I don't know what's going on.
Hang on. Your first change. Who's the skipper?
Yeah, me.
Okay. Moving on, but you unfortunately weren't able to support your colleagues from CricX again on Sunday because of a diary clash.
Yeah, we'll move on. But I'm down at Worcester. But this talk that I'm not allowed down could be a bad omen. I don't know what's going on.
Mr. McGladry and Mr. Cole saying you can bugger off, are they?
Now, that's it.
Yeah, so
like an albatross around there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think I'll just get given the nod and I'll come down, or I'll get given no, you're not coming.
Yeah, well, they have the power, don't they?
Well, they really do. Yeah,
they definitely do. Hey, listen, we're getting to that towards the end of the season, mate. We're not going to be talking about Cricket Stable for much longer this season. We'll be talking about the Cricket Stable the other way round down in Australia and New Zealand not too long. What have your lads been up to at the weekend?
Yes, it's not been a big week of hundreds, to be honest. It's just been a load of not outs off not many balls. But Jacob Cumming, the Kiwi, 126 off 65 balls for Barnley Miners. And then we've just got an array. Peter Trigo, 78 off 23 balls for Burbage against Potton. Melissa Banks, 92 off 49 balls, not out for South North. And it's just been an awful lot of not outs. Mandeep Singh, Hull Zingari, 81 not out of 62 balls. Dick Shanzu Negi, 83, again, 83 out of 127, I think it was. Backing up for 140 the last week. Moving on to Australia, New Zealand stuff now. So it's pretty scary how quick the season's gone.
It has, hasn't it, without a shadow. What we got, though, in the rest of the country, Hugh, I think we can definitely beat that. And it's a Whipple one that'll beat it.
It is. It's very timely. But I'll start with, there's just 2100s on my list. Weather had a big impact, particularly in the east, didn't it? A bit of a hairy weekend. It was lovely where I was.
Yeah, Kent wiped out, Sussex wiped out, Essex wiped out, East Anglia wiped out.
Yeah.
And actually, Cornwall got the game on for a change.
The east has suffered a bit this year, but I think southern Spain was lovely. So we'll just
move on
and play cricket, I think. And there might be a bit of cricket happening down there fairly soon, I would say. But anyway,
there will be.
Top of the tree. This is very timely because we had this all set up before this, didn't we? But
absolutely.
George Thomas, Taunton St Andrews, 182 off 107 balls, highest score in the country this weekend. So some effort that to flatten potential league winners, Brigitte. And then Abdul Ali, whose name's popped up quite a bit.
Yeah.
He's second, 158 not out off 132 balls for Edgerton.
In the highest scoring game of the weekend against Woodbank.
There we go. Sam Bates, he's done nicely this year as well. Newtown Linford against Barrow in the Leicestershire and Rutland League. He's 147 off just 74. Usman Tariq for Woodbank in Edgerton, flipping the other way. 43 off 142. Bit of a slow one there by all accounts. And M. Mohammed, first name Mushin Mohammed, there we go, got 133 off 124 balls in the same game. And then we'll go with the sixth one, who's also got 133. Danesh Mehta for Alveston and Bolton against Dunstall in the Derbyshire League. That's the top six. But yeah, they're not a huge amount of hundreds, but some really good scores there.
Yeah, and I've got to point out one of the really quick ones a little bit further down the list. 19th 100 of the week was by Liam Banks of Hemheath in the North Staffs of South Cheshire League. We talked earlier, Lloyd used the phrase cheat code. Liam Banks is the cheat code for that club, isn't he? 102 off 64 balls. He went for it, to say the least. As you say, quite a lot of 90s down there. Brad Schmulian scoring more runs again for Woodlands. Richard Green in the runs for Ralston this weekend. And nice to see Nikhil Grantler scoring another ton for South North. And then he's been playing some twos cricket this week as well. People are being noticed more and more in the Premier League, and we'll come to that shortly with Lloyd. What you got in the bowlers there then, Mr. Taff?
Familiar name. Thickshiller De Silva, 8 for 31 for Great Harwood. That's him over 100 wickets now. I think it is 2 seconds. That's 109 wickets for the year at an average of 12, and he's just shy of 1,200 runs as well. So
Lloyd's face says it all.
That's ridiculous numbers, that.
And that's in the Lancashire League.
Every week. Let's have it. 7 fifers, average of 45, just shy of 1,200 runs. Just ridiculous. Yeah, so Mandeep Singh again for Hull Zingari backing up his runs, 5 for 45. Roscoe Thattil for Kickburton, 6 for 59. Parika Sanjeewa for Conisborough, 5 for 43. And then again, just plenty of fourthers moving down. But like I say, good weekend for Thickshiller once again.
It was, and I've got to point out, Thickshiller has also signed again to come back to Great Harwood next year already. In 5 seasons, he scored 5,700 runs at an average of 43.5. He's now taken, ready for this, 189 wickets at an average of 14.5 in just less than 5 seasons. He's going to get to 400 by the end of this. He might not get to 6,000 runs, but he'll definitely get to 400 wickets. Is there a single better pro in the country?
And he's not a spinner.
Which is even more remarkable, because generally that's where we see the numbers, isn't it? Have you batted against him, Matt?
No, haven't. Probably good job because I'll be one of these weeks.
Definitely. Hey, what we got in the rest of the country when it comes to the bowlers there, Hugh?
So in terms of Premier Leagues across the country, Oliver Makin, 7 for 51, Rochdale against Norden in the Lancs Prem. That's the only 7-fer I've got across the country. Fair few 6-fers, but yeah, it wasn't, similar to the number of hundreds knocking about. It wasn't, I think, a lot of games, washed out, unfortunately. But Takir Hussain, the lower house, again in the Lancs, 6 for 14. Some effort that. And Dusty Melton, 5.4 overs, 6 wickets for 19 runs for Brook and Borrowash in the Derbyshire League against Sawley.
Dustin's done something far more important this week. He's followed us on Instagram as well.
Oh, there we go. There you go. And then, Jimmy Warrington for Nantwich against Grappenhall, 6 for 27 in their Cheshire Prem encounter. And then we've also got Kavishka and Julla, who's got 6 for 35, Heaton against Denton West in the Greater Manchester League. That's the top 5. But yeah, we've got a few more 6-fers and a fair few 5-fers. But yeah, nothing. I'll tell you in total how many we've got 5-fers. We normally end up 50, 60 5-fers, and we're at 33. So yeah, similar number of hundreds wiped off, similar number of 5-fers potentially wiped off with the weather.
Yeah, and I did see quite way down the list there, one of our clubs that have been very helpful with us this year, Birkenhead Park, their pro Melinda Push Pakamara with a 5 for 48. He had a very difficult start to the season, but he's come good, full stop. And Connor Harvey for Townville, 5 for 39 on Saturday before he came and played in the T20 regional finals for Townville. Unfortunately, they didn't get through any further. They got knocked out by Doncaster Town over at Denby Cricket Club, which was subsequently won by Northern.
Yeah, one very chaotic game that I thoroughly enjoyed looking at the scorecard in the Northern Prem. Started off with a 5 for Ross Bretherton with a 5 for Leyland Cricket Club. So batting first, Leyland put up 103 all out of 38 overs. Garstrang in the chase. Total chaos. Tom Higson at the top, 22 off 10 balls. For Michael Walling, 4 off 17. And then we've got 23 for Mark Crowd, then 4-0. We've got Mark Walling hit wicket for 0 off his first ball. Love a bit of that. That's. I mean, what's he doing hitting his wicket at the first ball? And we've got 0, and then we'll come back to Ian Walling at number 8. Danny Gilbert 0 off 4. Ernie Collinson 0 off 8. And we've got Joe Barlow at the end, 1 not out. But Ian Walling, 40 off 43, took them within 2 runs of victory. And I was just enjoying the second to last over, which went for 34 runs, chasing 103. Hit the 24th. The first ball of the 24th over for 4 and was out off the second one to finish 2 runs short. But an absolute chaotic game. I think I just need to know how you get out hit wicket first ball. What are you doing? You reverse sweep?
Lloyd, answer that.
Well, funny you should say actually about hit wicket. We had an interesting. Well, how do you hit wicket? What number was he batting? What was the get situation?
Batting at 7, I think. Yes, no 6.
Trodden on stumps, maybe.
Yeah, it must have been.
We had a situation on Saturday. It was given not out. Again, apparently the rules are not out, but bowler bowled one to Joe Eckland from Hampshire, and it popped up, hit him on the thumb. He threw his bat up in the air, landed, hit the stumps, and it was given not out. And obviously we were inquiring if it's out because he's a professional and they're Bridgie are chasing, and if we can get him out after his 100 last week, it'd be helpful. And it was given not out, which is interesting, but I have no idea what the actual rules are. Apparently the rules say that's not out, but we did think that might have been hit wicket. I guess not.
John, is it John Holder? That's the umpire.
That's the umpire, yes, definitely. But talking of which, we don't do this very often, but I've got to do it, and I'm going to do it while we've got Lloyd and Mr. Taft, because we've got to discuss the true game of the weekend, which happened in our own local league, Hugh, has made national press, which I think is a joke, to be frank.
Yeah, international press.
Michelova scored 271 for 4 off 35 overs in Division 9 South of the
mighty Division 9 South.
Oh yeah, I forgot your lot are in there, aren't they? Yeah. Bear in mind, this game between Michelova and Darley Abbey was the last place and second to last place team in the Division 9 South. Michelova, as I say, scored 271 for 4 off 35 overs and declared. You know, they did have Max Thompson scoring 186 off 128 balls. Tim Rance, who I think does a lot of the socials for Michelova, actually, 35 off 35 balls. And they obviously decided we're going to bowl Darley Abbey out, and we're going to get back and we're going to be ready for the evening frivolities, or whatever you want to call it. Hugh Ian Bestwick making international headlines for 137 balls faced and scoring no runs.
And his son, Thomas Bestwick, 4 off 71. He's obviously accidentally hit one for 4.
Correct. 208 balls, 4 runs between the two of them. Now, we talk about umpires, and Lloyd mentioned it earlier, about having an umpire from your club and therefore your club then benefiting from having a point in the league.
Careful here, Ian. You might,
I don't care. So, when you get down to Division 9 South, you end up having your own lads umpire most of the time, don't you? Unless you're in the Whipple and you've got an umpire who's nominated and away they go. I understand that Mr. Bestwick was bowled quite early on in his innings. Not that he ever troubled the scorers with anything but just 0 runs. And whoever was stood at the bowler's end just said, "Oh, ball." Now, I don't know about you guys, and I'm going to ask you a very honest opinion of Mr. Taft to start with.
This may have occurred in the previous innings.
Well, I'm going to ask Mr. Taft an opinion first. You've played at various levels over the years, mate, and you're now playing at a pretty high level. Do you trust umpires at all levels of the game, never mind whether they're your teammates or not? And if they're your teammates who, let's be honest, at being an umpire and spotting a no ball, lifting your head up and then seeing what's happening at the other end, international umpires can't even do it anymore. They have a bloody someone on the sidelines doing it. So to expect someone in Division 9 South to do it and get it right, I'm going to ask the question, Matt, do you think that's right or wrong?
If they're getting it right, they probably should be umpiring higher.
Correct. That's exactly what I thought. Lloyd, your thoughts?
The only question would bowl, I don't know who he was bowled by. If, for example, it's an off spinner who's bowling at a lesser pace, he's got every chance of potentially catching both. But I agree, it would be certainly tough to be able to check the front line and see what's going on at the business end for someone that isn't of the trained eye as such. I wouldn't like to be the person who gave him not out after he's faced 168,000 balls for none.
I don't know if so I heard, this is purely grapevine, I've had my lawyers check this statement over. I've got a fleet of the Mr. Burns style standing behind me at the moment. Potentially Max Thompson, their opener, may have also been bowled off a no ball. Some potential bad feeling, maybe. I'm not sure.
You say first innings that happened
in the first innings, hence possibly something in the second inning. I'm not sure. So yeah, I've not spoken to anybody from either team. Just lots of the club WhatsApp groups and other WhatsApp groups alive with some information. I suspect there's a little bit of bad feeling, as tends to happen when you umpire yourself. I think the problem here is not really the outcome of this game. These things happen. No. People lose their tempers, beat their rag. I personally have never, ever done that. But when you umpire yourself, it just creates bad feeling when things go wrong. And we had a really nice situation in a game I was playing with earlier in the year. I called a waist-high no ball, and one of our young lads was batting. I called a waist-high no ball, and their bowler started to have a go at me. Their captain, immediately said, "None of us are professional umpires. Crack on with the game." And that's it. And that's where you just got to go. Unfortunately, we're all human. We all lose our rag from time to time. But yeah, it looks like that basically we've had a bit of a possible ill feeling in the game, and it's created international news.
Can I tell you why it really winds me up? A, they were bottom of the league and second bottom of the league, so really, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And B, last weekend was the NCCA 50-over trophy final between Cheshire and Norfolk. Last weekend was the ECB T20 regional finals in the south and the north. These are games with far more hanging on them and got absolutely zero coverage from absolutely anybody in the press, in the media, on the BBC. And yet they put on Ian Bestwick 137 balls for none. Yeah. Now, what's the odds on some idiot, excuse how I put this, and I don't really care on this one, some idiot's going to try and beat that now. You just know somebody's going to try and beat that somewhere, aren't they? Because let's be honest, to score nothing off 137 balls, because nothing went streaky, he's obviously refused to run as well. Yeah. You're telling me there wasn't a single edge somewhere? 137? We've all played in the nets and maybe faced 50, 60, 70 balls. You know there's going to be something, isn't there?
Yeah.
Very, very, I think it's created one of those stories that's a non-story as far as I'm concerned. I'll be interested to see if our league does anything about it. That'll be quite fun.
I want to see the rematch next season. That's going to be wild, isn't it? The rematch next season, it's going to be like 10 plays 11. And they're all
I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning George Selby, the first 11 captain at Mickleover. He'll be playing around with his selection for the rest of the next season just to make sure he gets into that team somehow. He'll be dropping down from Div 1 to Div 9 just to play in it, for the God's sake. Joking apart, Ian Bestwick, if you did manage to face 137 balls and not run, well done. I'm sort of saying. Mr. Matt Taff, you don't ever have that trouble. You're never in for 137 balls, are you, mate?
No comment.
Correct. Hey, thanks for joining us again, Mr. Taff. It's an absolute pleasure as always, and it's great to hear from you as always. We will try and put a poll out very quickly to have a look at the ECB Performer of the Week in the Premier Leagues around the country. But otherwise, we'll be seeing you without a shadow of doubt, subject to Mr. McGladdery and Mr. Cole. We'll be seeing you in Worcester in a couple of weeks' time, and look forward to it.
I'll be there. Yeah, we'll have to. Speaking of Josh Thomas, we've just placed him in Perth, so we'll have to get him on the pod whilst he's out there and do a bit of a.
He's a great lad. It'll be good to get. I think, have you also done? Have you done the Hardings as well? Jack and Cam, so they're both Saints boys as well. So yeah, they'll quite happily get Wig or Josh on the pod. He's a great boy, speaks well, so he'll be great value to have whilst he's over there. That's for sure.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, Matt.
All good. Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
So going into this weekend, Lloyd, let's just very quickly look at those fixtures that are going to make the difference at the weekend. You guys, we said it already, you've got a say in the matter, haven't you, to say the least. But you're playing Pottern at home as well, so it's your favourite ground to play on, I'm sure. Bedminster against Bath themselves, and then Bishopston at home to Froster and Bridgewater away to Burbage. If you had to put your mortgage money on it this week, where would it go?
On who wins that league?
Yeah,
exactly. Tough question. Bath having the advantage with the 20 points being the win, it doesn't ultimately whoever wins that fixture is going to win the game. Bedminster, for me, start of the league, if you'd have said, because Bath have lost a few players, don't you know, over the last how many years Bath have been the best side comfortably, 10 out of the last 12 years or something, they've won. Bedminster are a great side. Paul Butchell going back to Bath after being there for 5, 6 years. Will probably love to beat Bath and win the league. Burbage, tough place to go. I think I might have got this wrong. Saturday might have been their first win away from home.
Right.
Such a tough side to beat at home, Burbage. Wicket that predominantly favours batting first because second innings it's slower, lower, tough to score on. Bridgewater have got powerhouse 11. Lintop probably goes back into their side. Who'll be a handful there. We beat Pottern at home at their place, earlier on the season. I'm still sat on the fence.
You are? I can imagine the WhatsApp groups around clubs have been this interesting this week, haven't they? In terms of who's available. Yes, you are. Come on, let's get absolutely everybody.
Well, Bridgewater obviously have like now Alfie Ogborn, Ned Leonard. Alfie's gone to Kent. Ned's gone to Glamorgan. So that's two things that two players they'd probably like to play for who are not going to be there. Lintop's back from the T10. I think he's been playing T10 somewhere. I imagine they will want to get back in.
He was in the Cayman Islands with our friend Mr. Peter Hatzoglu and Cam Hemp.
Yes, that's so they probably like to get him back in if he's not with Warwickshire. Bridgewater have got it to lose from where I am sat, but Bath have got so many dangerous players that Sam Young's got like 180 at some stage of the season. Harry Ellison, they've got so many talented lads. I think he's out for the season, but Jack Scrivens is unbelievably good. I don't think he's available. Ben Wells is back. Obviously, he was the one that had a heart issue that he's had something fitted. So he's played a few games. So you'd be mad to write Bath off, I think. And again, you'd also be mad to write Pottern off. We could be brilliant. We could be terrible. We've got the same side as last week. So look, for me, Bath to beat Bedminster, Bridgewater to beat Burbage.
If Bath win, they win the league, full stop.
Yeah, exactly. Bath at home for the last game of the season, for me, it goes with Bath. But Bridgewater messed it up, losing to Frost and needing 60 with 8 wickets in hand. So had they won that game, I'd say Bridgewater, Bath for me.
It's one of those leagues that is just going to go literally down to possibly the last 10, 15, 20 overs of the whole season, never mind the last day. But let's just turn to another league, shall we, Hugh, and have a look at a name in particular, the Middlesex League, which that's, again, very, very similar. The Middlesex League is got Shepherd's Bush on 107 points, and it's got Crouch End on 106, Ealing on 101, North Middlesex on 97. Now, they've got 2 games left But with 2 games left, any one of 4 can win there. There's a number of these leagues around the country, but obviously we're going to focus on the ones that are coming to the biggest culmination at the moment. And to get to that stage, what did you see in the results there at the weekend, Hugh?
Our captain, well, the lad I work with is actually captain of Shepherd's Bush, and we speak every week about cricket, and he's excited and as nervous as he ever could be going into those last games, put it that way. So I don't know lots of too much about that league, but I hear from Ali every week how they've gone, and obviously he was panicking. Saturday looks wet, as in Saturday just gone, Saturday looks wet. The issue's going to be if we're called off and another Crouch End play and get a game in and so playing. So it's great. Every Monday I get a download from Ali on what's happened in the Middlesex Prem. Sorry to jump in here. Like I said, the captain of the side, they've never won the league, I don't think, Shepherd's Bush, and so Ali is very keen to be the first captain to win it, but he is 100% panicking. Selections, the players back after 16 months out who had a bowling average of 10 and about an average of 40, not sure whether to pick him or so. Like it's great. Like, I love the fact it's not me having to worry about it, but yeah, it's been a funny few weeks listening to Ali, who's obviously captain of Shepherd's.
It has. So go on, Hugh. What happened last weekend?
There
you go. So you couldn't be, it just sums it up, doesn't it?
You've absolutely done me there. I was like, why the hell have these results not come through? All cancelled. So yeah.
It's Middlesex. But yeah, besides it all being cancelled in the South East, it doesn't actually help any of those captains for that weekend, does it? It's just, at least they were all abandoned. It was equal. There was a player in the Middlesex League that we just wanted to have a look at, because it's been pointed out to us, although we'd have probably got to it at the end of the season anyway, that we think the leading teenager, this will surprise you, Lloyd, the leading run-scoring teenager in the entire Premier League is playing for Richmond in the Middlesex League.
That's right, yeah, Vansh Jani. And what's interesting about him is his improvement on the previous year. Vansh Jani, first team last season, he averaged 25, 9 games, 9 innings, 229 runs, at a top score of 120. So he got one really big score and didn't do a huge amount else as an 18-year-old. He's turned 19 this summer, so he would have been 17, 18 last year. 22 first team games, 1,422 runs, a top score of 244 not out, and an average of 71. So he's just had a phenomenal summer. And I think on the back of that, trying to sort of find out why he had such a great summer, and it looks like he's been playing overseas. He's had probably his first season abroad, playing for St George Cricket Club, New South Wales, playing grade cricket in the Sydney Test cricket, as the grade cricketer lads like to call it, not New South Wales Premier Cricket. He started off in the 4s over there, and he's worked his way up into the first team. Had a fantastic summer, and he won the Kerry O'Keefe medal for St George, which I assume is for best club player, something along those lines. So yeah, he had a really terrific season, and then just the bounce in his form on the back of that, just phenomenal. So it shows you what I mean, we have Cricket on here, and it's something that we talk about, but the bounce in his form, that is as pronounced an improvement as I've seen. So for a young lad, yeah, so he's the top scorer. And as far as I can see at the moment, I will do some calculations at the end of the season. It's quite hard to pick out ages and things like that, but just looking across all players under 20, he's the top scorer. I think he's on 801 runs. We've got a couple of other lads, I think maybe just gone over 20, who are close. And I've got a couple of Hampshire Academy lads. I think Arv Shetty maybe 20. He's 20 now, so he's scored plenty of runs. So yeah, so it'll take some digging out, trying to figure out the exact ages. But yeah, I think he looks like, I think 800 Premier League runs at something like 60 odd, which is just some performance.
It's, seeing more and more of these young lads coming through, Lloyd, it is great. There's no two ways about it. And they bring what I'd class as shall we call it, not just a 21st century way of playing, but it's almost like a 2020s way of playing, isn't it? They've all been watching Bazball, they've been watching the T20. They come out on a Saturday, whether it's in a 50-over game, and just play the way those guys would. It's
frightening how... I chatted to Thomas, obviously, who come from the Super Fours and played 2 ridiculous innings. And I said, obviously, what's your thought process between that and today? And he just said, well, if I get myself a start and I'm there, I will continue to just play as if it was white ball, nice sort of thing. Red ball cricket, 50 overs, club wickets, in comparison to playing Loughborough on a flat wicket with white ball. And he just sort of, the mindset is, I'm not worried, I'm just going to carry on playing. Like James Travers also plays for us, who's 17, I think, but 93 against Bedminster. So Paul Mitchell still bowls quick for club level and proceeded to try and just hit him back over his head for 6. And there's no real, not care's the wrong word, the self-belief of the youngsters in this modern day is from a senior bowler as such. I bowled at many a young lad playing in Westball and different young pros or academy players, and they just have a completely different mindset now of, I don't mind where you bowl it, it could go over your head, it could go over the keeper's head, and I'm going to continue to do that whether you like it or not.
I mean, Somerset have to take a lot of credit as well. They just seem to be able to keep producing these players. I know they've got a lot of independent schools, and that level of coaching, you're capturing talented kids, you're giving them great coaching in those schools and obviously in the pathway. But Somerset just seem to be able to just keep this production line at Somerset that other counties, no names mentioned, not necessarily locally to me, but certainly within our range, just don't seem to be able to do it. I'm not saying that they're doing something wrong, but Somerset are certainly doing something right.
Yeah, I think as well, like the King's College as an example seems to find a way of constantly developing seriously good cricketers. Like you look through the ranks, obviously Josh Butler came from there, Alex Barrow, Macheda, Regan, the Roos, the Thomases, the Travers. The list is endless of cricket, and I have no idea what it is. Obviously, like people like Tom Abel coming out of Taunton School. So yeah, there is that, but we are also lucky that the level of coaches, I think Taunton School, Pete Sanderson, the director of cricket, level 4, Phil Lewis, was director of cricket, and now Rob Woodburn, level 3, level 4. So I think there is something that is great, and they keep, like again, Will Smead, King's College boy, like it is frightening how we seem to just keep producing these youngsters. And again, I can only talk first-handly about the boys who I see every day at Saints, but the Thomases and the Roos just keep going. You think, like, we saw James, we're like, oh my God, this boy is an absolute genius. Then we see Thomas, and you think, well, this boy's a genius, even maybe more so. Like it's just frightening how they just keep developing.
Yeah, I mean, Somerset famous for the standard of the pitch, famously a road down at Taunton.
Yeah.
Is that the same, in the Whipple and around? Are the pitch standards really, really good? Because it's something that's been a real bugbear of mine traipsing around after my kids. We've had some shocking pitches this year that are playing county fixtures, decent fixtures, and that some of the pitches have been horrendous, and including some private schools that you would expect to be. I know the weather's been difficult, but sometimes there's been no excuse. But I don't know how you're supposed to produce top quality cricketers if they're going to get one ball that's down their ankles, the next ball's on their nose. So is that something that Somerset's, the pitches in the Whipple consistently good?
If I'm completely honest, and I don't know if you can see pitch marks, our pitch at the Wyvern where we play our home games doesn't generally get the best marks. Don't get me wrong. We paid as a club, we paid a lot of money to get some new wickets laid properly. They are good, I would say. If you took the one, not just bashing our own club, like we are a club that has volunteers. We don't have shed load of money behind us. We don't get any money from behind our back. So Dennis Breakwell, ex-cricketer, is our groundsman, does a brilliant job for a guy that's by himself. But our wickets will be flat in the middle, they'll spin. But we will also play on one if it's been seriously dry where it is a little bit inconsistent. I mean, we go to places where Bath Cricket Club, and I don't know if either of you have ever been, is by far one of the best grounds you'll ever play at. They have two full-time ground staff. Like they sold the space above their car park for £2 million, something stupid like that. Like this is amateur cricket. Like Froster is a beautiful place to play. Bristol, beautiful. The wickets, they are really good. I think we're also lucky that our lads have adapted to playing on potentially wickets that aren't great, and when they go and play on flat wickets, they make it look even easier. But we are lucky that in Whipple, a lot of in Prem 1 especially, that from this year, that the grounds that we go and play at are pretty flat. There's not a huge amount in it. The boundaries, a lot of the grounds, we don't play at any massive grounds, like Bridgewater's renowned for being quite small. Bath's quite small straight. Like there are some small grounds, but there are also some seriously good wickets. Froster is literally like the M5. So yeah, you do get the odd wicket, especially at our place, which is a bit up and down. You do get some like 350 plays, 340. But especially the grounds we go to, the majority of wickets you play on is pretty good.
Yours would be a fantastic wicket. Maybe somewhere else in the country, you just got those wickets with full-time groundsmen to compare to.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dan might struggle to get water on ours, and so it spins, it breaks up a little bit. Like I'm sure he would love to have two other people that could help him out. And I'm sure he'd love to have the ability to get 100 litres of water into a wicket after it finishes on the Saturday. He doesn't get that. He makes an unbelievably good job out of what's probably quite difficult circumstances. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the other grounds, they get it pretty right.
I think what's interesting that you picked up on there, though, is that we're focusing on the grounds, we're focusing on potentially the independent schools, but Somerset County Cricket Club there are clearly doing a phenomenal job as well. Because if you look around the rest of the country, there is always a pull, whether we love it, like it, hate it, whatever, for getting down to the southeast. Clubs down in London, down to Surrey, down to Middlesex. And you can get all of the these kids want to go to university down there and then they stay down. But actually, Somerset just has a pull that keeps playing. And it's not like you're not down in Cornwall, another 4 or 5 hours away, but you're still a good 2 or 3 hour drive from where you want to go to in London. What is it that Somerset County Cricket Club are doing there to keep those kids and those youngsters on board?
I think the setup's pretty good. I think when you get people, like, for example, like Archie Vaughan moved to Millfield, come to Somerset, been signed by Somerset, joined St Andrews, played a couple of games. But it does seem to be a desirable place to go. I think the wicket's flat, the ground is always sold out. I think it's a really encouraging place for people to want to come and play. Like, look, even from a club's perspective, like ourselves, there are 2 T20 Cups that the ground allow you to play finals there. So like we played the Baker Cup final there 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, and kids love it. Like young lads, I'm fortunate if I played there a few times. You get young lads, 16, 17, 18, who get the chance to play at county ground in front of 500,000, 1,500 people. And it's brilliant. So it might sound stupid, but little things like that make people want to play down here. And I genuinely mean it. For the pros who are allowed to play, they also do enjoy playing down here. A lot of the pros have played at clubs where they are based. Like the boys we've got have always been with us. There are lads like Smeed's been at Bridgewater for a few years. George Bartlett, who's a Bridgie lad, came back from Northants to play against Bath. He's played at Bridgewater for a few years. So it's quite a good place. I think the clubs in and around Taunton and the clubs who are in the Prem, I think it is quite attractive. They are generally pretty nice grounds. And people just enjoy playing down here. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's because it sounds stupid. Obviously, Yeovil Football Club, who were in the Championship not very long ago, Taunton Town have gone up through the ranks and are doing really well. Somerset Cricket is like a hub. Like on a Friday evening, the town gets a great goal. When there's a T20, there is not a spare seat in the house. The pubs around the ground are always heaving. The atmosphere is great. And then I think a lot of people take that into a Saturday. It sounds really silly, but I do think the small town nature, you go to your Sapphire Gardens where it's massive, it doesn't always necessarily sell out on a Friday. I think it's got that small feel to it. And because they are quite successful, like white ball cricket especially, they're doing well in the red ball at the moment. It does have, like you said, that pull of people wanting to actually go and be involved. And then the youngsters then take that, be it us or be it other clubs, take that into Saturday junior cricket on a Sunday midweek T20 stuff.
Yeah, and I think that link between club cricket locally and the fact that the Whipple isn't just Taunton and Somerset, it spreads its wings a lot wider. It just means that everyone feels affiliated, I think is the best way. And if you're affiliated to your club, and everyone loves being affiliated to a club, and then they link together with Somerset, I think it's the perfect example of why, whether people love it or hate it, the 100 has had the love or hate atmosphere around the country, because do people feel affiliated to it compared to what they did previously? And it's a question that cricket's got a lot to answer for over the next 3 or 4 years by the looks of things, hasn't it? Definitely.
For sure.
Hey, so we're coming towards the end of the recording now then, Lloyd, and I've got one final question of you, which you've been around a while now in terms of Premier League cricket and played a lot of Premier League cricket down there. We asked Stan Heaton and Jez Hope of Lower House a couple of weeks ago the same question, slightly different. They're probably, they're twice your age. But the question I want to ask you compared Premier League cricket today to 10 years ago or 15 years ago in your area. Good, better? What do you think it is?
From now to where it was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
100% better. The format's changed. Like when I first played, it was 55 overs, win-lose cricket. Now it's obviously, so we spoke about earlier, like the batter who blocked it for 0 off 137. You play games where we'd be lucky, Keith and Kev Parsons would get 150 each. We get 350 batting first. The opposition would be 120 for 5 second innings. It just sort of made it a little bit dull. Whereas, and I think now the level of cricket is so high with the amount of professionals, minor counties, young pros coming through that it's 100% better. It is comfortably, in my opinion, the best level of cricket I've played over those 15, 16 years. Just from the aspect of you can't just run up well anymore. The opening batter will look to try and quite happily hit you out the ground first ball. With modern day cricket, to be fair, white ball, red ball batters still play the same way. I will 100% say it's as good as it's been since I've played.
And that's the message that we keep telling everybody week in, week out. This Premier League cricket lark is far better than what people realise. And, I'm going to finish this week's pod by saying congratulations to a number of people. I'm going to start off with Norfolk County Cricket Club, who came to Wormsley at the weekend and beat Cheshire in the NCCA trophy. Great performance for them to win that. Maybe went into it slightly as underdogs, but for Norfolk to win that, fabulous. We have got the NCCA championship final starting this weekend between Staffordshire and Berkshire at West Bromwich Dartmouth on Sunday. That's a 4-day game. And you'll see an interview on our socials in the next couple of days from James Kettleborough, the Staffordshire skipper, and hopefully I'll be getting Dan Lincoln from Berkshire as well. But also congratulations to, we've already mentioned them, our friends at Northern, who have now got them through to a second national final. So not only are they in the National Club Championship final, they're also in the T20 national final the following week, where they will meet Oundle Town from the Northants League. And we've talked about them a long time, Hugh. The Craig brothers will be gracing Derbyshire, and Derby is county ground. We won't even have to go to Oundle to meet them. We can just go down the road, mate, and we can see the Craig brothers from Oundle.
They've built up this mystique in my mind, and they're like sort of two bad guys from a early 80s Nintendo game, the Craig brothers, some Mario's sort of alter ego or something like that, the evil Craig brothers. So there you go.
Absolutely. Congratulations to the lads at Oundle. And that's Sunday, the 22nd of September. You've got Oundle versus Northern at Derbyshire County Ground. So we're coming to that end of the season. There's going to be finals left, right and centre. There's some really good cricket going on. And as we've said, I wouldn't look past anywhere other than the Whipple this weekend. To watch what's happening in these 4 or 5 games is going to be absolutely fascinating, Lloyd, isn't it? You're going to be taking part in one of them and hopefully playing a part in it in some shape or form, mate.
For sure. Yeah, it'll be good. Obviously, it's all to play for. 4 teams can go on and win it. A good friend plays at Bridgewater who will literally, and a couple of us begging us to not reverse the order, to not do anything stupid when we play Potter. And I get on really well with the director of cricket at Bath and some of the lads there. So it'll be interesting. I'll be watching every single fixture and every single game to see exactly how it pans out. Hopefully, and this might bite me on the backside, hopefully we can put in a performance like we did last week against Bridgewater to beat Potton and see which one of the other 3 teams win it. We can ultimately only do what's in front of us. And if that's ruin Potton's chances, then from playing well and winning, then we'll do that. And then it'll be over to the other 3. But Bridgewater do win the league. I hate to say it. I do feel Reeves won't let me hear the end of it, as the other lads after being a Saints boy and moving over to Bridgewater. But look, if they go on and win the league, fair play, they probably deserve to win it. Likewise, any of the 4 teams have all been up there and deserve to win if they do. You
can really ruin somebody's day, no matter what you do.
There's going to be some upset people potentially from Bath or Bridgewater if we get stuffed by Potton. And likewise, if we get a result and beat Potton, they're going to probably be pretty hacked off that we've lost however many games and we might potentially beat them. So we'll upset some people at some stage. But I'm looking forward to Saturday, as long as the weather's dry and every game is going to wash out, which would be a real damp squib of way of ending the season. But it will be good. And everybody, I have no doubt, will have every single form of camera on or play cricket up or fixture card up. And it's certainly going to be a fun Saturday to finish the season, that's for sure.
Just don't block it out for 137 balls.
I don't reckon I've faced 137 balls in the last 3 seasons combined. I will not. Hopefully, some of the other lads will do the batting.
Thomas Root could.
Yeah, he could. If George Thomas does what he did against Bridgewater, there's every chance he'll have a day out. I've seen since we've been on here that he's teeing it up in the second 11 game, 30 on 13 balls or 14 balls or something. So we've got some great lads who could do some unbelievable things. And if ever they want to sign off the season for us in style, I'd be quite happy to sit with my feet up in front of the pavilion and watch them do it.
Thanks for joining us, Lloyd.
Pleasure.
I've never said this to a guest before. Thanks for joining us. Good luck on Saturday, being not very popular, no matter what happens.
Thank you.
Someone in the Whipple is not going to like you lot, no matter what.
Yeah. We're going to upset one of 4 teams somehow, some way, but hopefully it's not for too long.
Sometimes, what's that phrase? Cricket is the winner. Not this weekend.
Correct.
Not Taunton St Andrews. They ain't winning no matter what, are they? In the slightest.
We've got nothing. We cannot go anywhere, up, down, in between. So it will be a fun Saturday. We're going to upset some people somewhere, but may the best team win.
Absolutely. Perfect way of ending it. Thanks a lot, Lloyd.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the Cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.